Hi class, Mrs. Howland here, and today we're going to classify shapes based on their defining attributes. Let's get started. Let's begin with a review of things that we've learned in past lessons that we may be able to use in the following exercises. Let's start with vocabulary. First, a side. A side is any line segment used to form a shape. Then we have a straight side, which is a line with no curves. Here you can see this square has 4 sides, and this circle has 1 curved side. Then we have a corner, where 2 lines meet. We also have a square corner, corners that make a square. This can be seen by placing a smaller square within the square to see that it makes a perfect square. We also have our familiar shapes that we've learned. We've learned about our circles, which are a curved line with no corners. Here's our circle. We've learned about our triangle, which is 3 sides and 3 corners. We have a rhombus with 4 sides and 4 corners. We also have a square with 4 sides and 4 corners. And last is our pentagon with 5 sides and 5 corners. Using our vocabulary and familiar shapes, let's work through these problems and see if we can solve them. Number 1 says to circle the shapes that have 5 straight sides. We can start off by crossing off any circles because we know that they don't have any straight sides. Now, do you remember from our shapes which one has 5 sides? That's right, the pentagon has 5 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that we know we are looking for pentagons, let's see if there are any more. That's right, we have 1, 2, 3 shapes that have 5 straight sides. Number 2 says to circle the shapes that have no straight sides. Well, we know that a circle is the shape that has no straight sides, so we're going to circle all of the circles. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes with no straight sides. Moving on to number 3, says to circle the shapes where every corner is a square corner. We know that the square corners are going to make a complete square. We know that rectangles have a corner that makes a square corner, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. So all 4 corners are square corners. Circles do not have any corners. And in our square, we can see that we have a square corner, a square corner, a square corner, and finally, every corner is a square corner. Moving on to our triangle, we only have 1 square corner. These 2 are definitely not squares, so we can't circle that. And here we have our pentagon friend again, which we know doesn't have square corners either. So it looks like we have 2 shapes, the rectangle and the square, where every corner is a square corner. In this exercise, we are going to look at how many corners and straight sides each shape below has. The first shape is a triangle. It has 1, 2, 3 corners and 1, 2, 3 straight sides. In B, we have a rhombus. We can see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4 corners and 1, 2, 3, 4 straight sides. And last, we have our circle, which we know does not have any corners and no straight sides because it's made of a curve. Our last example says to look at the sides and corners of the shapes in each row. A says to cross off the shape that does not have the same number of sides and corners. Here we can see we have a triangle, a square, and a triangle. We know that each triangle has 3 sides and 3 corners. We also know that each square has 4 sides and 4 corners. Therefore, the square is the shape that does not have the same number of sides and corners. So we would cross off the square. Let's do B together. B says to cross off the shape that does not have the same kind of corners as the other shapes. Do you remember a different kind of corner that we were working with before? That's right, the square corner. So if we look at our shapes, we have a square, a rhombus, a square rhombus, and a rectangle. We know that a square has square corners. And since our square rhombus is also a square, we know that it also has square corners. And our rectangle has square corners. Our second rhombus, however, doesn't quite have square corners. Therefore, we will cross off our second rhombus because it does not have the same kind of corners as the other shapes, which are the square corners. Now that you've learned a few different ways to work with corners and sides of shapes, I hope you feel a little bit more comfortable. Thanks for watching. See you next time.